After college, where how did you meet your best friend? It's through work. That can absolutely happen in a virtual environment. We've got people on our team that live on different continents, have never met each other in person, but consider each other one of their best friends. When you have that type of culture, things just explode. We'll do virtual walks together. Hey, what are you working on today? I'm working on this client. What are you doing? I'm working on that client. You want to work together? Sure. Your camera's up, and we're just making calls, talking to candidates, and we can see each other working, and we're having a good time doing it.
So your director of operations is a virtual professional. Talk about the beginning, starting the company, what it was like, what you do. Just give us the beginning story.
So Talentuition is the current company. So it's about 5 years old.
Yep.
We actually spun Talentuition off of another company that my wife and I started about, 2008.
Okay.
Great time to start a business.
Yeah.
So we both quit our jobs.
Yeah.
And started an HR consulting business, which we still have, and Heidi runs.
And Heidi's your wife.
And Heidi's my wife and business partner in everything.
Wow.
So we saw kind of a division of our HR consulting company that was doing recruiting, and we're doing recruiting for PEOs, which is the world I came from before starting my own business. And, we saw that there was kind of a gap in the market, which is a lot of businesses get started that way, where there's options to have kind of the traditional headhunting recruiting model, and then there's options to have maybe a staffing or do-it-yourself model, but there's not a whole lot in between, especially for small companies.
Yep.
So we had a few clients with investment HR that we spun off into Talentuition. We brought on a couple of fantastic partners, and then launched Talentuition. That's kind of how it got started.
Love it. And what problem do you solve for your customers? So we understand.
Yeah. So we've got the two layers of customers. We've got our PEO partners, and we solve problems for them. And then we have their clients, and we solve problems for them. So the problems that we solve for the PEO, which is a professional employment organization, is a lot of them are looking for a way to get into recruiting or offer recruiting services practically and to their clients in a way that builds value, in a way that keeps their clients engaged and keeps them happy, and is an additional revenue stream for the PEO.
Sure.
So we solve a lot of problems for the PEO. The end client, the problem we solve for them is the burden of hiring for a small business is exponentially higher or proportionately higher than a large company. Because a large company will have some economies of scale. They can hire their own staff, they can buy ads in bulk, they can do all these things that bring the cost of hiring down. And small businesses don't have the volume to do that, but by joining us through a PEO, they now have access to all of that volume. So they can tap into a full running, economically viable solution for recruiting. That they just can't do on their own.
Okay, cool. Tell me about your team. I'm curious.
Yeah. So when we started, the original game plan, and you and I talked about this when we launched, was to have kind of a mix of US-based recruiters on teams, kind of a team mix where we'd have a recruiter that was supported by virtual professionals. And maybe like a 4-to-1 ratio or a 3-to-1 ratio type of thing. And that's how we were going to build it. Then as we grow, as we scale, we'd bring in layers of management that's kind of going to run those pods. We did that right out of the gate. We had a director of ops here in the States. We hired our first recruiter here in the States, and we hired our first virtual professional. and started running with that. Like a lot of small businesses that launch, you start here and you want to end here, and you don't go like this.
Yeah.
You go here and then back down to the beginning.
Yeah.
So in that first year, we had burned through all of our investment dollars. Our U.S.-based director of ops quit. I had to step in and take over that role.
Yeah.
Our first recruiter quit.
Wow.
Our second recruiter that we hired is still with us. Our first VA didn't work out.
Yeah.
Right? And so here we are. Kept pushing, kept going, gave the virtual professional another chance, a different one.
Yep.
That person is now 5 years later my director of operations for the company based in the Philippines.
So your director of operations is a virtual professional.
Correct.
And it's
Correct.
Similar. I just want to unpack this.
There's a lot in between those two things.
Yeah. But
there's a lot in there because we completely changed our initial concept of how we wanted this to work.
Yep.
We scrapped it completely after that first year because of we're a talent-focused company. It's kind of in our name. We want people utilizing their talents.
Yeah.
And that's what we hire for. And so we discovered that a lot of the people that, especially our virtual professionals, had talents that were being untapped. Leadership abilities, independent thinkers, passionate people. And we now, it's a 12-to-1 ratio.
You also had
reverse.
You also had them build a lot of processes with and for you.
Right.
I remember that as being once we got it launched, there was this whole how to scale the team up.
Right.
And we started documenting and having conversations and creating videos.
It was interesting. We had a 5-year celebration for Joyce, for our director of ops. And as part of that, I surprised her. I still have a copy of her original interview with me.
Wow.
And so we played that for the team, and everybody got a kick out of that, and she's totally embarrassed, but it was a lot of fun. And I played this little clip of that video, and it's where she was asking me about training.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, the training is going to be me talking to you, and you talking to Heidi, learning what we do, what our process is, what our vision. You're going to write all of that down.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the start of our training manual for the next team.
Yep.
And she just lit up on the video. I looked back on it and I was like, oh, I didn't realize she did that. But she's like, oh, really? Okay, great. And you just don't know until you ask that there's some talents there. And now we have this Google Doc that's just amazing.
A beast.
It's like a 60-page document,
right.
Links to videos, links to anything. I can hire somebody and have them trained and ready to rock in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then we have a 3-month mentorship program.
Yep.
So I can take somebody with great communication skills, with great passion, and hire people for those reasons, have great high level of integrity,
yep,
and teach them how to do what we do. And I'm not doing the teaching. Our people are doing the teaching.
Right.
Because they created the teaching program. They own it.
Right.
It's been great.
So your entire team, you said you were at a 12-to-1 ratio. Help somebody wrap their head around what because you're following the 70-30 rule. Is it 70-30? 30% are U.S. based and 70% are virtual professionals, or?
No, it's even. So
even
we
greater.
have. So we call our team, stakeholders instead of employees.
Yep.
Because it's a deeper conversation, but I don't like the employee term.
Yep.
We have a lot of stakeholders. So our stakeholders, we have, I'm going to miss my count here, about 14 through my outdesk.
14 virtual professionals.
Correct.
Okay.
We have an implementation manager that's based here in the U.S.
Yep.
We have myself. We have Heidi, who are more overseers and strategic consultants for the business and sales.
Yep.
And then we have probably 8 or so strategic partners or independent contractors that are stakeholders that are out helping us sell our services.
Right.
And those are our U.S.-based people.
Yeah.
But we're kind of a product that they can include into their bag, if you will.
Yeah. So
That's the breakdown.
There's a large amount that are virtual professionals. What have you found that you can't have them do? And I only bring this up, I mean, because it will eliminate what they can't do, and then everything else is left on the plate for them to do.
Yeah, so the U.S.-based people, in-person sales.
Yep.
The implementation person, and the people that we have here kind of have a higher level of communication skill to where they can do strategic writing, they can do technical writing, they can do client communications really well, and they can visit clients in person.
Okay.
But it's a difficult question because I always ask myself, like, what else can we do over there?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. Like, I'm already thinking about the next business I want to start, and I have no clue what it is, but I know what the infrastructure is going to look like. Because there's so much talent in the world that's untapped. How can we tap into this and get people doing what they love and make a business out of it?
Yeah. You'd mentioned that you can't imagine running the business without my outdesk. Like, there's so much complexity that isn't like that you just don't have to deal with. What are those things that you appreciate or that you don't have to deal with that exists?
So we had with Investment HR, with our other company, we've gone through kind of like a lot of businesses do, the evolution of staff.
Yep.
Where we've been a small shop with just a couple consultants. We've been as big as 15 employees, all in one office space together.
Yep.
The thing I appreciate about having a virtual workforce is that we have the camaraderie and the love and the culture. You can create that virtually without the day-to-day in-person headaches of a staff. I will never go back to a full in-person
office.
I'm like the other extreme. Like, we were virtual before virtual was cool.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic, we were 100% virtual.
Yep.
Even our U.S.-based people all work out of their homes.
Sure.
We have no office space.
Yep.
So that's part of it that I love. The other part about what they can do that I don't like doing or don't want to do. I think we have a different perspective than what I think most people look at when they look for a virtual professional.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to get exposed to having a virtual professional. There's not many people that have one that then and experience it that then don't want to have one. Once you go, you don't want to go back.
Yeah, it's the freedom. It's the freedom.
It's the freedom and the confidence. And it's not only, being able to offload things that you don't like to do. You can also offload things you're not good at.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people miss out on that piece. I mean, I can give you specific examples, but there is so much that you can teach somebody how to do if you know that they have the core values that meet your culture.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where they are.
Yep. One thing that I was curious about is, like, as a company, how do you create a virtual culture? Like, how do you integrate your US team and your virtual professionals and stay fully remote? And by the way, I mean, you guys are, in the top 4% of all businesses. So you're not a small business anymore. You guys have grown past the point of most entrepreneurs. Right. So how do you keep that culture virtually?
That is the most important part of our success. To me, it's not the clients, it's not what we provide, it's the alignment of culture.
Yep.
alignment with our customers, alignment with our partners, alignment with our stakeholders.
Yep.
And culture is something that, it's a very buzzy, topic, but it's not something that is created, it's something that's defined. Every company has a culture. If you're not intentional about your culture, your people are going to create that culture.
Right.
And so if you, after the first couple of years, we decided, all right, it's time to define our culture. What is it? And we looked at the people that are really successful in the company, across the board, US, virtual, everything. And we had these common traits.
Yep.
Integrity, passion, teamwork, and fun. Those are the 4 things that make up our culture. And it's because we looked at everybody and said, what's the common thread here? They all have really high levels of integrity. And that's doing the right thing when no one's watching.
Right.
That's how I define, and which is critical for a remote workforce.
Yeah.
Right? You can have all the technology and tools, but somebody who has that innate, I have to do the right thing. Passion. They have to understand that the person they're talking to on the other side of the planet is not a number, is not a resume. That's a real live person.
Right.
And they have a ton of passion at making sure our clients are happy, and I'm happy, and the candidates are happy.
Sure.
The teamwork piece, I think, is what makes the virtual environment really work. Because, we'll do virtual walks together. Teammates will communicate with each other and just say, hey, what are you working on today? I'm working on this client. What are you doing? I'm working on that client. You want to work together? Sure. Your camera's up, and we're just making calls, talking to candidates, and we can see each other working, and we're having a good time doing it.
So you're using technology to kind of create that office experience through video and like collaboration of work.
I mean, we have people. I'm super passionate and proud about our culture.
Yeah.
And we've got people on our team that, like I said, live on different continents, have never met each other in person, but consider each other one of their best friends. Your coworkers, you've worked with somebody for 5 years, you guys collaborate on a daily basis, you know each other's kids' names, you know all of this, you know what's going on in their lives, you know all of that stuff, you become friends.
Yep.
Most people, after college, how did you meet your best friend? It's through work.
Right.
And that can absolutely happen in a virtual environment. And when that happens, then when you have that type of culture, things just explode.
Yeah.
Then the fun begins. Because it's a ton of fun having a team of people like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I love going to work every day and seeing them.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
When you, one thing that you mentioned that the first virtual assistant didn't work out, I remember going because as a business owner, I own the business, and here you are a friend, and you're like, yeah, this person didn't work out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is he gonna go again? Like, can we get a round 2, a second shot? What's it like having access to talent immediately, getting in a rotation and just being able to that's kind of something that's unique about our business. Yeah,
it is. It's fantastic. I mean, to not overstate it, but I love the ability to say, all right, I'm looking at our current capacity.
Yep.
How many clients can we handle versus how many people we have. That number, we have a trigger number there that's like 80%. If we're at 80% capacity as a team, we need to hire. Mm-hmm. If we get to 90, people are starting to get a little stressed out.
Yeah.
100's impossible.
Uh-huh.
So we start inching towards 80, and all right, we need to start looking, we need to start interviewing.
Right.
Okay, great. What's your schedule for this week? And boom, people are lined up and we start interviewing.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're a recruiting firm. This is what we do. I would love to get to a point where I could provide that level of service to our clients in the U.S.
Yeah.
But it's just, you've got, you've done such a great job of having, I mean, I don't know how everything works, but it just seems like you've got people ready to go.
Yeah.
Like you're not doing a break fix model. You're doing a proactive model on staffing.
Yeah.
So that works really well. And we don't, we probably interview more people per hire than typical clients because we know what we're looking for now.
Yeah, you guys are very sophisticated when it comes to selection and choosing.
Yeah.
And so how many folks do you typically interview to hire the one?
Yeah, we probably go through 3 rounds at least, and each round has 3 different candidates.
Yep.
So we may talk to 9 people before we find what we're looking for.
Yep.
Because we're not looking for skills and experience necessarily. We're looking for talent and culture fit.
Jesus. Okay, so here's the biggest problem in our business. If you're listening right now, this is at my outdesk, the number one thing people ask for is like, I want somebody who has experience. I want somebody who knows how to do this job already.
Right.
And as a business owner, I understand why they're asking that question.
Yeah.
And yet here you are, one of our most successful customers, saying you're not looking for that.
Right.
Because what's more important is what?
Yeah, a message to all of your clients that think that way, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You're looking for a Band-Aid. You're looking for immediate relief to a problem. You're not looking to solve the problem.
Or build a business.
You're hiring
out of pain.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that because, like you said before, having somebody else do the stuff for you can help you grow your business.
Yep.
Right. So I could see that. I need, somebody that knows. I need to offload QuickBooks. So I need somebody that knows already how to use QuickBooks that can just jump in and do it.
Right.
Instead of saying, I need somebody who's really great with numbers and who is really talented at that and has values that are in line with our values.
Yep.
It's not hard to learn QuickBooks.
Yeah.
It's not hard to learn a lot of stuff, but a lot of small businesses probably don't have, or they don't perceive to have the infrastructure to train people or the patience to train people.
Right.
But if you can get past that barrier, then you're not running on a treadmill anymore. You're scaling a business.
Right. Yeah. What has it been like over the years? Because you've been a customer for 5 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of our customers come in asking like the question, can we trust this company? Like we've never done business with them before.
Right.
Like I'm very nervous. They're telling me the great stuff. Maybe their sales pitch is perfect and I don't know if they can deliver. Like what would you tell people after 5 years?
Yeah, I would say you guys are unique in your space. And I think you probably run into that a lot because it is a kind of a booming industry worldwide.
Yep.
So if you've got any reservations about my outdesk, you can take my word for it. I mean, we've done it for 5 years and had a lot of success. But talk to the people. Interact with people. Interact with the people that do your when I need to interview people.
Yep.
I set up they set up times for me to interview.
Sure.
The coaches that our VAs have access to.
Sure.
I've noticed a great amount of consistency with all of that. Not just in the process, but in the people.
Yep.
I've got relationships with Megan and Kelly, and I can name off all the people that I've got relationships with over a long period of time.
Yep.
I think the fear that a lot of people have of utilizing an offshore company of some kind, or that you're using international labor, is that it's going to be just like when I call my credit card to get information, or most of our experience with
isn't good.
Offshore labor is the call center because I got a problem and I got to figure this out, and I don't know if this guy's legit or not.
Right.
Am I being scammed? Whatever. Those are the personal experiences, unfortunately, that a lot of people have.
Yep.
But from the B2B side of it, you can really get to know the people that you're doing business with at My Outdesk.
Yep.
It's not a commodity company. It's a relationship company.
Yep.
That'll give you a lot of confidence to do business with. At least it does for me.
Yep. What do you? I was talking to another customer, and they're large like you, and we broke it down, and his estimate was that My Outdesk saves his company about $26,000 per hire.
Yeah.
So he pays us the $24,000 a year, and on top of that, he saves another 26. And so we were kind of like doing the math. I'm just curious, what do you believe your return on investment is? Could you build a business that you have right now without us?
No. And we knew that going in. I mean, I think we're kind of unique in that My Outdesk was part of our strategy at launch. I was fortunate enough to know you.
Yep.
We've got a lot of common business associates and friends, and was introduced to you, and thought, you know what, I can build a business utilizing this service.
Yep.
As part of the overall package, as part of my model.
Yep.
And then we've evolved it to where it's a bigger, and even bigger part of the model.
Yeah.
So I know that we certainly would not be where we are today without it.
Yep.
But as far as the margin is concerned, it depends. I think that's accurate. Probably a 50% change. It's a 50% difference.
Yep.
But it also depends on the position and for which you're hiring the person to work.
Yep.
And what you can evolve them into. You could hire somebody, and if you're willing to train them, you can train them up to something that would pay, $70,000-$80,000 in the U.S.
Right.
Or you can have them, stay as a virtual professional.
I think there's this weird thing, like I can never explain this to customers. It's hard. Maybe you can help. Like when you get your first kind of people, what happens is they then learn the business, they do the SOPs, they get kind of implemented into the business. And then sometime a year or two down the road, they know everything about the business, and they're looking for more ways to add value.
Yeah.
And that consistency over time and their willingness to like help your business grow, be a good partner to you, like it's difficult to quantify that.
Well, and back to your first question about how much did you save by using this service?
Yeah.
I would challenge that's the wrong way to look at it. You're not looking to save money. You're looking to make more. You're not, this isn't like, well, if I move to this model, I'm going to save some money. Yeah, you'll save some money, but that's not where the big value is in it.
Okay.
The big value is in this will allow my company to go from here to here. And I think that's, when you buy something because you want to save, then, there's a limited, that's it. That's the end of the value, is just saving that buck.
Right.
But if you look at saving that buck and look at the opportunity cost of it, and how much bigger can I get, how much more time have I generated for myself, how much more money have I generated, how much bigger impact can I make, those things are far outweigh the 20 grand per employee you can save, or whatever the number is.
Sure.
Yeah, so then your question after that was something else very deep. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. It was like, what I'm not able to explain is, like, you know how you have inertia?
Yeah.
Like, there's inertia in the world. If it's hard to move a rock, but once the rock's in motion, it's easier to push. There's something with, people on your team, virtual professionals or regular, U.S. employees. Once you have somebody on the team and they know the business, they know the clients, they're in there, they add value in a way that a new person just couldn't.
Right.
And they do, and you start building an army, like you have 14 people. Yeah. It's like, okay, there's this momentum that is hard to quantify and hard to explain to a new customer. Yeah. But when you wrap your business with virtual assistants, and then there's longevity in the account, and they learn the business, something happens with the scale.
Right. The click happens when they take ownership of the process.
Yep.
It is their process. This is their company.
Yeah.
That's the inertia. Once that starts getting rolling in your company, it's not going to stop. Then you become self-managed, self-policed.
Yep.
Culture gets self-created in a positive way. The team, everybody on the team knows who the top 20% are, and everybody on the team knows who the bottom 20% are. And nobody will tolerate violations of the culture. I don't have to do it. They own this. They have passion about the clients because the people at the top have passion about the clients, and then it starts really rolling.
Yeah.
It's not an overnight thing, but I can tell you it absolutely can happen, and it is so much fun when it does.
What's the time frame? Like, is it a 6 month? Is it 9 months? Like, in your experience, how?
Yeah, I think it can happen a lot faster than it happened for us. If I knew going into it that this was possible, I would have been intentional about fostering it from day one.
Yep.
So I think, if you hire for the right reasons versus I just want somebody with, QuickBooks experience, right? If you have to know what your own culture is, you have to know those talents and experiences and things that you want to hire for, then you can make a better selection from my outdesk. My outdesk can do a better job finding you what you like.
Yep.
So that goes a lot faster.
Sure.
Then I think it could just be months. Once they're through training and you fully embraced them as an integral part of your team and your organization, then it happens a lot faster. One of the things you told me in the beginning, and I was trying to grasp the concept.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't get it. Is this your employee doing work for me? Is this my person? What is this work? And you're like, Patrick, treat them like you would somebody that works in the next office for you. Yeah. Treat them like you're your person, because they are. Yeah. And that really, having that, mindset really helped us get to that culture point. Yeah, I don't interview candidates anymore from my outdesk. I don't know if you know this.
No, I didn't know that.
We hired two people last week, and Joyce, who's my director of ops over there, she sees our capacity formula, and she says, Patrick, we need to hire two more people. Great, do it. She contacts Kelly. They do the first back and forth round of interviews. She hires, she interviews 10 people. Yeah. And she's like, I'm not going to bother you with the people that don't have the culture fit and talents that we're looking for.
Right.
And said, I've got two people I think we should hire.
Yeah.
Here are their videos. Go through it. Go and watch. I go and watch the videos that are annotated, so I can go and read them while I'm doing it. I verify and empower her to make that decision. And we ended up hiring two instead of one, because she's like, we've got two here that are going to be rock stars someday.
Wow.
I'm like, great, do it.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
How did you know that Joyce has the capacity to be an operations manager? Like, what caused that transition? Because that's multiplying. So in our world, we're hiring really good, talented people. Right. They're called virtual professionals. But then at some point, you get somebody who's just like a rock star. Yeah. And you're like, I want to make them a manager and have them be more integral in the business. Yeah. How did you know? What was the key characteristics? Like, what was it? And
it took a while. I mean, she didn't know how to do, and most of our people have no experience at all doing what we do.
Yes.
And she didn't either. But I think it kind of clicked with us when people started following her. That's kind of the key of a good leader. So they naturally
became...
Right. People are asking, because we put her in charge of training people.
Yep.
It's like, hey, Joyce, you now know what we do. instead of me training the next person,
you're going to do
and then the next person, I'm going to have you train the next person and the next person.
Right.
Then those people that were trained, are going back to Joyce to ask questions and, hey, how can I get help with this? Can I get help with that?
Yeah.
And then we kind of tested the waters with it a little bit with, she probably didn't know this, but we were saying, hey, I want you to, talk to the team and find out if they would like X, or Y or whatever. And then she just kind of became the team lead. And it evolved from there, and we promoted her from, just a basic recruiter to senior recruiter. We've got like a whole career pathway.
Sure.
Assistant manager, and then eventually, director of ops. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she just kind of naturally became that person, and then you fostered it over time.
Yeah.
And how long did it take? 2 years, 3 years?
It's 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 years to get to that, to fully get to that point, to really embrace it, which I think is a pretty short period of time to take somebody from I've never recruited before in my life to I'm director of ops for a recruiting firm.
Sure.
That's 3 years.
Yeah, it's fast.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
And we've got other people on the team that are promoted up as well. So we've got Chad is assistant manager and also our key accounts manager. John is a team lead and a senior designated recruiting specialist. She handles a couple of our key strategic partners.
Sure.
Those are part of our top 20%, and they are very passionate about our culture. Won't tolerate anything less.
Yeah. What advice would you give somebody who's considering, working with My Outdesk? If you could go back to the Patrick. Brand new Patrick versus today Patrick. What advice would you give somebody?
Have an open mind about it. Give it an honest try to really integrate into your team, and realize that this is, I don't know how to put this without sounding crass, but these are real people.
Yeah.
These are people that respond really well to things that everybody responds well to. Praise, accountability, structure,
consistency.
Empowerment. If you empower somebody to do a job, they'll be empowered. And really embrace all of that. I think that's really important. I think communication is very, very important. You can't, I would highly discourage someone to hire their first virtual professional and say, here's the work I need, figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you in a week.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster in my mind.
There is work up front. How would you tell somebody the time frame of the upfront work? Like, that's the barrier that is hardest for most people to get over. Yeah. Not only is this new, they've never worked with My Outdesk, they've never had a virtual professional before, and we're asking them to do the upfront work. And people are like, dude, come on, I'm paying you. Can't you do all this for us? I'm like, no, this is your business. We can't.
You mean like kind of like the training, the teaching on how to do the work?
Yeah, give them. You've told them the benefits and where you're at now after 5 years, 14 people. Breaking records in sales, growing a company, being in the spot that you're at. But now give them the work that has to get done in order to get there.
Yeah. When we hired our first virtual professional, I think, and a lot of people that are hiring their first virtual professional, they don't have the infrastructure in place to really handle it.
Yep.
They don't have a training program. They don't have, the technology.
Yeah, video conferencing. Simple.
Chat.
Yep.
Video. Methods of accountability. I think that's a big
my
fear.
My time out. My time in.
And all of that stuff might seem daunting. It's really not.
Yep.
Because you can actually leverage your virtual professional to help you create that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Sure.
We didn't have Microsoft Teams. We didn't have a training manual. We didn't have Ring Central. We didn't have all of these tools
Yep.
when we hired our first virtual professional. So yeah, there is some time investment in doing that. If you've got a training program, if you've got some of that technology in place now, it's going to go a lot faster. But give it a month, and you're there.
Yeah. It's that initial month.
Yeah.
You'll start to see the light at the end of the tunnel after a month. 2 months, it gets a lot better. 3 months, they're rocking and rolling.
Yeah, and then you've got it done, and you can do it again, over and over again. Then right now we hire a new person, and it's just all automated. Like, we've got them up and in training in a day.
Couple weeks.
Yeah, you're training on your first day.
Yeah.
And so we can get them not only set up with the technology and everything, but 2 weeks later, they've gone through their classroom training and they're ready to roll.
Yeah, perfect. Patrick, thanks for today.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing your journey and everything you've done.
It's been a great partnership, and I can't wait for the next 5 years.
Perfect. Rock and roll.